They'll be putting the tariff of 25% on Canada and separately 25% on Mexico. And we will really have to do that.
If you think it's going to get a lot messier out there in the world of global trade, yes, you are right. Donald Trump just unleashed a tariff bombshell that sent shockwaves throughout international markets. A 25% tariff on Canada and Mexico? A 10% hit on Chinese imports? This isn't some minor tweak to trade policy. No, this is a full-blown economic war, and the fallout? Oh, it's going to be massive. But why is Trump making this move? What does it mean for everyday Americans? And more importantly, who's really going to pay the price for this decision? Buckle up, because this story is packed with political drama, economic chaos, and yes, some serious consequences that no one saw coming. Let's rewind a bit before we get into Trump's latest tariff bombshell. It wasn't a sudden decision. Everyone saw this coming after Trump hinted at this before being elected as President of the United States.
U.S. President-elect Donald Trump says he will impose a 25% tariff on all products going into the United States from Canada and Mexico. Trump says it will be one of the first of many executive orders.
When Trump ran for president for the first time in 2016, one of his biggest promises was to rewrite America's trade relationships. He said the United States had been getting ripped off for decades by China, by Mexico, by Canada, by the whole world. His argument? Free trade deals like NAFTA and the North American Free Trade Agreement had devastated American workers by sending manufacturing jobs overseas. He even called.
And there shouldn't be. It's a disaster.
But it is there.
Yes,
if you're president, you're going to have to live with it.
We will either renegotiate it or we will break it.
So what did Trump do once in office? He declared war on trade deficits, scrapped NAFTA and called a trade war. He also launched a full-scale trade war in 2018 with China, laying billions in tariffs on Chinese goods. And guess what? Now in classic Trump fashion, he's back with another shocking move, one that could change the landscape of global trade forever.
They'll be putting the tariff of 25% on Canada and separately 25% on Mexico.
The world wasn't ready for this one. In a fiery speech that had the energy of a high-stakes poker game, Trump made it clear, America is taking a hard stance on trade. Effective immediately, a 25% tariff would be slapped on imports from Canada and Mexico, while Chinese goods would face a 10% duty. And there, in an instant, boom! Markets quaked, business leaders quaked, and the stock market took a nauseating plunge. Do you think this is just one of Trump's bold but empty statements? This is real, and things are starting to unravel from this act of pomp.
Mr. President, is there anything China, Canada, and Mexico can do tonight to forestall your implementation of tariffs tomorrow?
No, nothing. Not right now, no.
Not a negotiating tool?
No, it's not. No, it's a pure economic. We have big deficits with, as you know, with all three of them.
Now, this is where things are getting pretty wild. Trump isn't pulling numbers out of his hat. There's some strategy involved here, even if it is well short of his target. He says that these tariffs are necessary to protect American jobs and fight against what he calls unfair trade practices. According to Trump, Canada and Mexico have been taking advantage of the U.S. for decades, riding on the back of free trade deals while American industries suffer.
So we'll be announcing the tariffs on Canada and Mexico for a number of reasons. Number one is the people that have poured into our country so horribly and so much. Number two are the drugs, fentanyl, and everything else that have come into the country. And number three are the massive subsidies that we're giving to Canada and to Mexico in the form of deficits.
And China? Well, that's a whole other story. In Trump's eyes, China has been waging an economic war on the U.S. for years, stealing intellectual property, manipulating currency, and flooding the market with cheap goods that undercut American manufacturers. So in classic Trump fashion, he decided to hit back hard. But here's the real question. Will this actually work? If Trump thought this move would be met with cheers of patriotic support, well, let's just say that's not what happened. Business leaders are in full-blown panic mode. Why? Because these tariffs don't just hurt foreign manufacturers, they hurt American businesses too. Major auto companies that rely on Canadian and Mexican parts, They're already warning that vehicle prices will skyrocket. Retail giants that depend on cheap Chinese goods get ready for higher prices on everything from electronics to clothing. Even farmers, whom Trump has claimed he is protecting, are angry. For many of them, exports to Canada, Mexico, and China are a lifeblood, and now retaliatory tariffs hang over them, threatening to destroy the businesses they worked so hard for overnight.
This is a import-heavy economy. Most of what we consume comes in from Southeast Asia and China. A lot of those goods might be coming in and have a tariff slapped on them.
Just from the execution standpoint, I'm just curious on how it will happen, how folks are going to navigate.
The point you're making is any business manager's worst nightmare, which is planning for the unknown.
Worst of all, this could be just the beginning. If you thought the political response to this was going to be tame, think again. Washington is now a battlefield, with Republicans and Democrats alike scrambling to make sense of this economic earthquake. On one side, Trump's most loyal supporters are doubling down, claiming this is the tough love America needs to reclaim its economic dominance. On the other side, a barrage of criticism. Even some of Trump's own party members are warning that this could backfire spectacularly.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of tariffs. They raise the prices for American consumers. I'm more of a free trade kind of Republican.
Economists are crying from the rooftops that these tariffs will only feed inflation and hurt the people Trump is trying to protect. The Biden administration, they're watching closely, knowing full well that if this blows up, it could become their mess to clean up. But here's the thing. Trump doesn't care about the backlash. He's got his eyes set on one thing, putting America first. But is he really doing that? So here's the big question. What does this mean for Trump? On one hand, this could be a bold political move that helps him rally support. His base loves the idea of America First policies. If the economy holds steady, he could sell this as a win heading into the next election after the recent ones. But if this backfires, if inflation soars, jobs disappear, and businesses start shutting down, Trump could be handing his opponents the ultimate weapon. They'll call this the biggest economic disaster of his presidency, and it could cost him re-election. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, well, this won't affect me, I hate to break it to you, but yes, it will. The thing is, tariffs are basically a form of hidden tax. If Trump imposes a 25% tariff on Canada and Mexico, or 10% on China, those prices don't simply go away. They trickle down. Who does the trickling trickle to? You. The new car you've been saving for? That's going to run you thousands more. Groceries in your shopping cart? Their prices are rising. Electronics, appliances, clothing. Name one thing, and all of these will be getting that much pricier. And let's not forget the companies that rely on exports. When other countries retaliate with their own tariffs, American businesses lose billions. Jobs disappear, farmers suffer, and before you know it, the entire economy is in free fall. If you thought Canada and Mexico were just going to sit back and take this, guess again. Both countries are already preparing their own countermeasures. And let's just say, they aren't messing around. Mexico is targeting American corn, beef, and steel. Canada is eyeing restrictions on dairy and manufactured goods. And China? Oh, they are fuming. The Chinese government has made it crystal clear. They are not going to back down. They have the ability to cripple American businesses by cutting off rare earth metals, increasing tariffs on American soybeans, or even going after U.S. tech companies operating in China.
Tonight, I am announcing Canada will be responding to the U.S. trade action with 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods.
If this escalates into a full-blown trade war, the consequences will be catastrophic. Here's the million-dollar question. What is Trump really after? Some believe it's just a high-stakes negotiation tactic, a way to scare other nations into giving the U.S. better trade deals. And if that's the case, perhaps, just perhaps, this bold gamble could pay off. Others fear this is a reckless move that could spectacularly backfire, pushing the economy into recession and igniting a global trade war that no one can win. So what do you think? Trump's tariff bombshell, a stroke of genius or disaster in the making? One thing is for sure, this is a game changer, and we are all going to feel the effects. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the biggest stories shaking the world. Because trust me, this one's just getting started.